Madame Bimpe decided she preferred today's position to what the new king had put her through yesterday. King Adeyemi lay on his bed reading reports of diplomatic papers from a neighboring kingdom, while Bimpe knelt between his legs at the base of the bed. While he read through the letters, she worshipped him. He would often reward her by glancing at her as she worked hard. Days earlier, the king had forced Madame Bimpe, a mighty woman of the kingdom, to worship him in front of some of the other chiefs and an untitled servant. It had been the most humiliating and degrading experience the socialite had ever been through. Right now, however, they were together in the privacy of the king's bedroom, where Bimpe had no qualms about serving her king. After all, if she pleased the young monarch, she would no doubt be bestowed many riches and honors that would more than make up for any undesirable or unpleasant activities they may engage in. The king had just finished a meeting with a negotiator from the Dahomey tribes they were at war with. He had come out looking very pleased with himself, and he had immediately grabbed Bimpe by the wrist and dragged her to his bedroom. Still not putting down the paper he was reading, Adeyemi reached down with one hand and placed it on the top of Bimpe's head, encouraging her. Bimpe was happy. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," he called out. A young servant entered the bedroom. It was the same one who had witnessed the events earlier when Bimpe had been forced to endure the embarrassing situation. She glowered at the servant from her degrading kneeling position in front of the king. The boy swallowed nervously at the sight of what he was seeing again. "What is it?" demanded the king as he resumed working on Bimpe. However, his concentration was split as he listened to the servant speak. Stammered the boy. General Say has returned from the front lines. He is waiting outside." The servant hesitated a moment, watching what was unfolding before him. "I shall meet with him later on." "No. Come back." "No," snapped the king. "Send him in now. I'm almost done here," said the king. Lady Bimpe went red with anger at being referred to in such a manner, but she held her tongue. To her distaste, General Say entered the room. He was a big, brawny man of about 50 years of age with gray hair and one of the ugliest faces in the kingdom. His face was crisscrossed with numerous battle scars, and it hadn't been all that pretty in the first place. Bimpe had no liking for the general. It was no secret in the kingdom that the general lusted after the beautiful Bimpe. On several occasions, he had asked for her hand in marriage, but she always refused. Not only was his appearance enough to make her stomach churn, but he was also too low nobility for her to even consider such a proposal. "Congratulations on the war," said the king proudly as the old veteran entered. Once again, Adeyemi remained inside of Bimpe, although he stopped his thrusts. "Thank you, your highness," said Sei with a low bow. "Condolences over your father's death. He died bravely." The general's eyes now strayed over to the beautiful Bimpe impaled on the king. Adeyemi saw the desire in the general's eyes and remembered his meeting with the negotiator the day before. "I am immensely pleased with your results in this war, General Sei," said Adeyemi as he resumed his activity with Bimpe again. "I will be sure to arrange some public ceremony to thank and reward you, but for now, why don't you join me here?" "No," whispered Bimpe softly, more to herself than anyone else, but they both heard her. The king wanted her to do something she had been trying to avoid for years. "Silence, Bimpe. He is a hero and is entitled to a hero's welcome," snapped the king. "Yes, your highness," whispered Bimpe acquiescently. General Sei smiled at this acceptance and moved up. "So when do you expect our enemies surrender?" asked the king. "Adeyemi, it wouldn't surprise me if the Dahomey queen didn't arrive here with a white calabash within the week." Adeyemi smiled. Rumors of the queen's beauty were rife throughout the kingdom, and although Adeyemi had never actually laid eyes on her, he could not wait for her surrender. Marrying an influential woman such as Bimpe was a considerable advantage, but the thought of forcing a mighty warrior queen to his will was too much. "Leave me," he commanded. "Ah, Yes, Your Highness, General Say said, not disguising the disappointment and frustration in his voice. Bimpy thankfully pushed the general and began gathering her clothes. Wait, said Adeyemi, looking up. I'm sorry, General, for the abrupt ending to our meeting. No problem, Your Highness, said Say, bowing. Lady Bimpy, said the king, turning to the beautiful noble. Yes, Your Highness? Go to the general's room with him and see that he is properly tended to. He is to be greatly rewarded for his efforts in the war. Bimpe was incensed. She had hoped it was over. Yes, Your Highness. Good, said the king. Now leave me.